Hi, my name is Shari Doherty, and I'm a lady in red, in Act 2 of my career and living my best life. My perspective on life and behaviors have been governed by who I was as a child, who I became, and who I am still striving to be. People my age are beautiful, bold, confident, and full of wisdom, and truly, the encore of the story of your life is still when the best songs are yet to be sung. My mission in this podcast is to shine the spotlight on people like me, have real conversations about reinvention stories, and inspire you to continue to follow your dreams regardless of your age. I'm doing it for Daisy. Who are you doing it for? Welcome to today's episode of the Encore Podcast. Today, I am delighted to have Sarah Marie Doherty back with us in our popular series, Gen X versus Millennial Mindsets. Today, Sarah Marie has some very exciting news to share with us all. Sarah Marie, what happened to you the week before Christmas?
My hand got slightly heavier. My left hand specifically got slightly heavier because I got engaged.
Yes. So exciting.
Yes, so I did get engaged on December 20th of this year.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your fiance and your story as much as you're comfortable to share? I know everyone loves a good love story and would love to hear yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So my fiance's name is Paolo, but he goes by Maz. So if I jump back and forth, it is the same person. I will probably predominantly call him Maz. 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, Kieran was talking about how he had this new friend, Maz, and they were hanging out all the time. And at the time, I was living in Toronto, so I had never met Maz. I just knew him as this ominous figure who Kieran hung out with. And then one day, Kieran sent me a photo of him and his friend Maz out for sushi. And I was like, hold on. I didn't know that's what Maz looked like. I would like to be set up with him, please. And Kieran thought about it and was like, actually, that would be a good idea. I think you guys would be good together. And so he kind of set us up. I came home for your birthday weekend back from Toronto, and I went out with like a big group of friends and met Maz, and we I wouldn't say we hit it off necessarily. Like we had a nice time, but I was living in Toronto and I wasn't interested in long distance, and neither was he. May comes around and I am taking a week off work because I've just had surgery on my nose. I had a deviated septum. So I had a week off work and I had the surgery on the Monday, and Kieran gave me a call on the Friday morning. And he said, hey, me and Maz are going to a concert in Pennsylvania. Do you want to come? And I was like, no. I just had surgery. I look like Squidward. I have to shoot like serum up my nose. I'm bleeding. Like, no, I don't want to come to this concert. And they were driving from Kingston to Toronto through the like Buffalo border. And he was like, okay, let me know if you change your mind. And I remember hanging up the phone and getting this like weird like gut feeling like I've never had in my life before. That was just like this voice in my head being like, you're only young once. Like, what is the harm? Just go. And so I called you.
I was going to say, who did you call?
Yeah, so I called you and I was like, I don't know. What do you think? Like, should I go to Pennsylvania with Kieran and this guy? And you can interject if you'd like.
Well, we weighed the pros and cons and discussed whether or not you should do it. I always encourage you guys to live and live young while you can. And we also always live by the 5-second rule. So we 5-second rule decided that you would go.
Yes, but you also wanted me to go because you're like, I don't know this guy. I don't trust him.
That's true. I forgot that part. I said I'd really like you to watch your brother.
Yeah.
And little did I know how this story was going to end. Yeah. But I said, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Sounds like it might be a good idea for all of you, including your brother, of course.
Yeah.
Traveling to the U.S. and going to a concert with a random person. It was just an interesting conversation.
Exactly. So I called Kieran back and said, you know what? Yeah, I'll come to the concert with you guys if you want to pick me up on the way through. And we ended up being in Pennsylvania overnight. It was kind of a whirlwind weekend. It was so much fun. And by the end of the weekend, Maz and I were basically inseparable. Like,
well, let me tell my side of the story.
Okay.
So you pointed out that Kieran and Maz drove to Toronto, picked you up, and you went on to the concert.
Correct.
And then you were coming home. It might have been like Easter weekend or something. You were coming home. So there were 2 vehicles coming back. So yours and Kieran's.
Correct.
And I was talking to Kieran on the way home on the phone and said to him like, oh, well, where's Maz? And he said, oh, they're getting married now.
Yeah.
And I said, what? Because he wasn't in the car. Maz wasn't in the car with Kieran anymore. He was in your car.
Correct.
You two were driving back to Kingston, just the two of you. And Kieran literally after that first weekend said, oh, they're getting married now.
Yeah. And on that drive home, Maz took me to meet his grandmother. Like, it was like
Wow.
the most obscure weekend. And I think in that moment, like, we both knew, like, okay, there's at least something here. I don't
Right.
know if it's eventually marriage.
Right.
But it didn't take me very long to realize that was definitely in the cards for us. And he
Right.
was the person who I wanted to spend my life with.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the week before Christmas this year.
Yes. So I knew something was coming. I wasn't shocked by any means by the engagement. I just didn't know how it was happening or what he was going to say and all of these things. But probably, I would say October, I came home from work one day and Maz was in a suit. And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you in a suit? And he was like, I didn't think you were going to be here. And I was like, so you just wear suits around the house when I'm not here? And he was like, no, I'm going out for dinner. And I was like, okay, like, who are you going out for dinner with? And he could have easily been like, oh, it's my friend's birthday. Like, I'm going out to like the mess. He's a terrible liar.
Yeah.
And he
So am I. We'll get to my side of the story, but so am I.
He goes, yeah, I'm taking your dad out for dinner. And I was like, oh, okay. And my heart dropped like into my stomach. And I remember looking at him and being like, I just need to go for a walk for a second. And we live in a 3-bedroom bungalow. There's not much walking I could do. But I took a little lap around the house and I started to cry. And I looked at him and went, okay. I was like, have a good dinner, I guess. And he went on his merry way and went out for dinner. And he came home at the end of the night. And I said, how was dinner? And he said, it was good. And I was like, okay, I guess this is happening.
Well, I'll flip side to my side of that story.
Okay.
Dad came downstairs and he had his cell phone with him and he showed me his cell phone and he said, Maz wants to have dinner with me. And I looked at him and I said, just you? And he said, I think so. And I said, that doesn't say, do you want to have dinner with Matt and I? It doesn't say, do you and Shari want to have dinner with me? And Dad said, no, it says, would you like to have dinner with me? And literally, I can't do this because I'm holding a microphone, but I started clapping my hands and going, yay, 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 yay,
Yeah.
because we all exactly know why Maz would want to have dinner with just Dad.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And so Dad also got dressed up properly.
Of course.
Because he likes to wear a suit and feel fancy. And they went to the keg and they had their lovely dinner. And we can let them tell their story, except I will give a little bit of it. And then literally 15 minutes later, you phoned
Yes.
and said, where's Dad? I am also a bad liar.
Yes, you guys all suck.
Because I could have said anything.
Yeah.
Other, like, Dad is watching TV, Dad's in his office, Dad's in the shower, all Dad things that
Yep.
he could easily be.
You're
And I
doing anything.
froze and I said, doing Dad things.
Yep. Doing Dad things.
Dad things. And
I
you
was like-
said, you're such a bad liar.
Literally, I was like, you are a liar. I know where he is. Like, I was like, this call was to entrap you in a lie. Like, and you were like, how do you know where he is? And I was like, because Maz sucks at lying just as much as you do.
Which is hilarious.
Yes. So anyways, I knew it was coming
Right.
based on
Perfect.
this information. We had also gone ring shopping.
Yeah.
He had taken me to get sized. I had shown him kind of the style that I liked. And then probably about a month before Christmas, he said, I think we should go on a trip. Like right before Christmas. And I was like, I know what this means. Like, and he was like, yeah, we should just like go to Washington like the week before Christmas. We had been talking about for a while how we wanted to go back to Washington. I'd been there with you guys as a kid and he lived there a couple years with his family. So we both had wanted to go back there. I was like, okay, I'm getting
And I
proposed
went
to in
and
Washington.
picked up my son from school.
And this entire
and then I
time, though,
picked
he
up
was
my
very
daughter,
like insistent
and
on
she
going
says, "Mommy,
to
why
Norfolk,
are you not
Virginia,
at work?"
at the
And she
end
would
of
have
the
been
trip. And
probably
he was
about
like, I
10 or
just
11
really
years old at the
want to
time.
go to this
And I
naval
said, "Well,
museum."
unfortunately,
And I was
Mom
like,
just lost
obviously,
her
like
job,
that.
As he does.
As he does.
I don't
You know
know
how
what
many
I'm gonna
museums
do.
I've been to with this man?
From
I've been to more
himself, looked at me
museums
and
in the
said, "Mommy,
last
look at
5
this
years
as
of
an
dating him
opportunity."
that I've been to in my entire life, including on this trip. I think we went to like 4 or 5 museums. So anyways, we went to Washington. We had a lovely time. And as every day passed, I was like,
Still not
this
engaged.
isn't happening. Like, I was like,
Oh, we were literally at home waiting for you to FaceTime us.
Yeah.
And every day again that passed, we're like, what the heck?
yeah, exactly.
There's no FaceTime call.
But you knew Like, it
I
was
knew the
happening
plan
on
on
the trip.
where and when it was happening, and we'll get to that.
Exactly.
So I knew when you told me where you were going on the last day, I knew exactly why you were going there.
Yes. So, and I didn't know this information. I'm just getting progressively more pissed off. And so we're on the final day, and he keeps on talking about how he wants to go to this naval museum, but his parents own some property in the Virginia area, and he was like, I want to go check on the houses. And he honestly, for lack of better terms, he was just dicking around. And I was getting so frustrated because I was like, this museum closes at 5 o'clock. Like, why are we taking the longest route possible to get to Norfolk, stopping here? Just like, literally, I was like, what are we doing? Like, but he was also like, when we were in the car, like messing with the GPS so much, just like pulling it forward and zooming out and trying to like see things on the GPS. And I remember saying to him at one point, like, what are you doing? Like, do you need me to like drive? And he was like, no, it's fine. Like, it's all good, whatever. I was just getting really frustrated. And normally we're like very affectionate, like PDA, whatever. We'll like hold hands in the car. And I remember at one point I was just like looking forward in the car, like not holding his hand, because I was just like annoyed that he was just taking his time to get to let's just get to this freaking museum. Anyways, it turns out he was taking his time because he was trying to get to Virginia Beach at sunset.
Right.
Which is amazing. We're driving across this bridge, and he says, I think we should go take some drone photos of the beach. And in that moment, I was like, I know what this means.
Uh-oh.
I was like, okay. Like, and I'm like starting to well up, and I was like, yeah, we should definitely go take drone photos of the beach. So we drive to Virginia Beach. It was December 20th, so there's no one around. Like, there's not a soul in sight, which was beautiful, actually. It was actually pretty nice out. And we find a place to park. And I remember actually he was like on the other side of the car, like messing with his drone. And I was standing on the passenger side because I had just gotten out. And I just like began to like pray and like just stand there in that moment and be like, this is happening. Like, this is like, thank you, Lord. I'm so grateful for like this man. Like, I'm like tearing
So
up.
am I actually
yeah.
listening?
I was like, this is the moment. And like, I'm never going to forget like this spot. And like, this is like the story you tell your kids for the rest of your life. Like, and I'm living it in this moment. And so I was really just trying to like embrace what was about to happen. And so we go out to the beach, and the sunset has almost now passed. It's pretty dark out. And he sets up the drone, and he's messing with it again because the sun has set because we took so long to get there. And he's like trying to figure out the lighting, and he's a very anxious boy. And so he was trying to make sure everything was perfect. And then he put up the drone and clicked record. And then he dropped to one knee. And I started like crying immediately, obviously. And I'm like walking, and he was like, calm down. Like, it's fine. I'm crying. Like, and you could tell when he started speaking that like he had practiced his speech, which was really thoughtful.
So sweet.
And like, he told me afterwards that he had been practicing it like aloud after I'd gone to bed, like on the trip. Like, he would stand in the mirror
bawling.
and like practice like what he wanted to say to me, which was beautiful. And he said, like, will you marry me at the end of it? And the first thing I said to him was like, I can't see, because my eyes were so filled like with water, and it was dark. And I said, like, I can't see, but no matter what the ring looks like, I don't care. Like, yes, I love you. Like, let's do this. And then I remember we just like, before we even like called you or like called Monique or whatever, we sat there like in the sand and just like took in the moment, and which was beautiful. And he told me that the reason he wanted to take me there was because this is where your parents' marriage started, and I love your parents' marriage so much that I wanted our relationship to start the way that theirs did.
Breathe, both of us. Okay, hold on. I have tears all over my face.
She does. She is crying here. So if you want to kind of give your story of how your marriage started there for context for the listeners.
Well, it's a funny story, and I'll keep it short. However, as you know, Dad and I got engaged very quickly. We were only dating for 2 months and 3 weeks when we actually got engaged. However, about 2 weeks into dating, we were in that wild, crazy, can't keep our hands off of each other stage, and just so in love and in the moment, we decided to take a weekend trip to Virginia Beach. And at that point, kept thinking he was too good to be true. Like, this can't possibly be as good as it is. And we were driving, and he literally on the highway getting to Virginia Beach pulled over on the side of the highway and said, "Get out." And I think, okay, this is where the shoe drops. It is too good to be true, and he's going to kill me on the side of this highway.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm deciding. So we get out of the car. We're in the middle of a field. I turn around, and he's down on one knee. And he literally is crying, saying, "I love you more than anything I've ever felt in my life. We have to spend our lives together. I know that this is it. Will you marry me?" And I absolutely knew already as well. We were a little bit older, and we had both dated other people.
A little bit older? You were 24.
Well, it felt like I had been dating for a long time, and I was...
That is the biggest generational change.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, we should talk about it.
We'll get back to that.
Dad was 23. You were
not
27?
even. I think he was... Oh, when we had you, I was 27, and he was then 24.
We were a little bit... We waited until I was 27. I'm not even going to be married until I'm 30.
I know. Actually, it's funny. It does sound funny. I felt like I was a little bit older.
Okay.
We had both been in other prior long-term relationships.
Sure.
So starting again at 23 felt like, oh boy, I got to start again. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, some guy's proposing to me on the side of a highway.
Yeah.
Getting back to the story.
You should have known he was crazy at that point.
I
Red
did,
flag.
and I do know.
Yeah.
It's been pretty good, though.
Yeah.
So I literally looked at him and I said, "I absolutely agree with you. However, I think we're caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
We should probably go enjoy our beautiful, crazy weekend in Virginia Beach. We could go home. You can buy me a ring. You can ask."
So did he just what was he doing with his hands?
Nothing. Just
they were just like
I don't know. I don't even remember where his hands were, but he was asking the question. It
Yeah.
was probably, I don't know where they were. And I said, "You can go home, buy me a ring, ask my father. And then when you ask me again, I'm probably going to say yes."
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay, it's on." And so that was like the
challenge accepted.
That's kind of like our family folklore.
Yeah.
Which obviously Maz has heard a million times.
Yes.
And yes, we've had a successful marriage. This New Year's Eve, we're going to have been married 30 years.
That's crazy.
And so that is crazy. However, we're pretty happy and life is very good. So I love, it means so much to us that, Maz was like, "Okay, let's start on the same strong foundation your parents did."
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful story.
Yes, which, speaking of, you said your anniversary is on New Year's Eve.
Right.
Naz and I have actually also decided to get married on New Year's Eve because Kieran says that we're just unoriginal. He was like, you guys are just copying everything mom and dad does. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not a bad person to copy. They've had a very successful life, a successful marriage. If you're going to copy anyone, you might as well copy my parents.
Right.
So yes, our wedding day will be December 31st, 2025.
Right.
Yes.
I know.
So
So
your 31st wedding
Our
anniversary
31st.
will
If
be
we
getting
could have done
married
it this year. It would have been our 30th, which would have really resonated well.
It's a little rushed.
You guys got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's jump to the second half, or where this conversation was trying to go, but there's so much to even unpack in that, and that's great sharing. So thank you for sharing your story.
Of course.
It's fun.
I always love
and
talking about my love.
You do.
Yeah.
Your love is beautiful.
I know.
Let's
I
put it
love
that
him.
way.
I'm so excited.
So now we're into wedding planning. And millennial versus Gen X thoughts on weddings are a little bit different. And I don't know if it's necessarily our thought patterns versus the reality of the world.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the economic circumstances.
Sure.
That if I could afford to have a 300-person wedding, I still don't think I would want it. But I've heard people say that they had a 300-person wedding in the 90s for $5,000.
Right.
Which, that's not even a venue fee these days.
Right.
I was quoted for one venue for just the fee, $22,000 just to use the space.
That wasn't food or alcohol.
No, that was nothing. That was just
the
to
facility.
exist on the facility grounds.
Wow, which is insane.
That's disgusting.
Which is insane. There are a couple things that we've started to come upon as we've been starting the wedding planning process that I don't 100% understand and or agree with, so we can come to those. But let's just, for context, what we've done so far is bought a wedding dress.
We did buy a wedding dress, which is very exciting. We've actually done kind of most of it. Like, we're like very ahead of the game.
Right.
So we just have to hire a couple vendors, obviously do the full, we haven't invited anyone yet, but like everyone who's like on the A list like knows the date. Like they like, so.
Yeah, which is great. But that has been literally every mother's dream. Sorry, I'm
crying again, guys. This is a very emotional episode.
Every mother's dream to see their little girl in a wedding dress, and you made mine come true.
Oh. Guys, my dress is gorgeous.
Very beautifully.
So I think I tried on at least 50 dresses.
Yeah, you did. Like, first of all, you look perfect in everything. As Maz's parents said multiple times, you would look good even in a burlap sack.
I don't know if I would wear a burlap
I'm
sack,
not
but
sure
I get
either.
the idea.
I did think it was cute, though, that independently both Maz's parents used that phrase.
Yeah.
They weren't together when they said it. We were with her. She said it. We went back to his house, and then he said it out of the blue as well.
Exactly.
So apparently their marriage is well aligned as well.
Exactly.
Which is really interesting. So that's obviously a huge step, and I can't even say thank you enough for how beautiful you are and for making that dream come true.
I do what I can, but thank you also for the genetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it from your mama.
Yeah. I did enjoy the dress shopping process. I'm happy that it's over.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
found it more, I don't know, I don't want to say stressful, but I feel like it could have been a little more relaxed. There was a couple times that like just everyone's opinions like yelling at me at the same time, and like then you have like people on FaceTime. Like it was just like so much going on. It was kind of like I was just overstimulated for a lot of the experience. And I said to all of the sales representatives who I spoke with, like, I don't think I'm the type of person who's going to have a bridal moment. I'm not a big, like, emotional, like, yell. Like, I'm just, like, not that type of person. And so I would, like, come out in a dress and be like, yeah, it's very pretty. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, it's a nice dress, but it's not my dress. Like, I was like, and even when I, like, put on the dress that ended up being my dress, the only reason I cried was because I was thinking about marrying Maz. Aww. Like, it wasn't because of the dress. Like, I was like, I can picture myself wearing this standing next to him on our wedding day. So I was more like crying about like our love. And the fact that I, like, miss him also, like, didn't help in that moment. But I find it so cruel that, like, the one person who you want to tell everything to, like, your best friend in the world, you can't show your wedding dress to. That's the one person who I want to be like, I want you to see it so badly. And he's, like, obviously, like, I'm not showing him, but I want to. Right. And like the fact that I have to wait 2 years for this man to see me in this dress.
I am going to die when I see his face when he sees you in that wedding dress.
Couldn't agree more.
I think none of us will be breathing. It's going to be perfect.
She's going to cry our entire wedding day. Oh, I don't even know why she would wear makeup at that point. Like, you're just going to be a disaster.
I know. I'm going to be a hot mess. However. And the other big thing we've done is we booked a venue.
We did book a venue.
So we did go to a couple of venues for visits, and you did a lot of research because you're very good at that. And we're very excited about the venue that you've chosen.
Yes. So Maz and I had decided that we wanted a smaller wedding because, and by smaller, we're now at like 140, but that's like small in the grand scheme.
That's small in Dad's mind.
Oh my God.
You and Dad can do this on another episode.
Yeah, exactly. Just argue about who he wants invited to the wedding, which is so unnecessary. But we wanted something smaller, more intimate. So originally we were actually thinking that we might want to like book an Airbnb and just have like the wedding at the Airbnb and have everyone be able to enjoy the space and just do something a little more intimate with our guests. And ultimately things just kept on getting like a little bit bigger, and a lot of that came from the price of what everything costs now. I had a catering quote come back to me for 100 people for a meal. It was 3-course, no gratuity, no service fee, and no drinks. $32,000 was the quote for a 3-course meal.
Ouch.
That's disgusting. Mm-hmm. Which it doesn't even make sense because normally you go to weddings, and I'm hoping this won't be the case at mine, but the food often sucks. Wedding food isn't excellent. It's fine. The potatoes are a little cold. Like, and I was saying to my parents during this process, like, I'm not spending $32,000 on food for one of my aunts to be like, well, the roasties were a little cold, and like I didn't like what time the ceremony started. Like, no one's ever going to be happy at a wedding.
Right.
So like I'm not spending $32,000 just on food.
Right.
For
by
someone
the
to
time
be
you
like,
add
the wedding was
alcohol-
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
And by the time you add alcohol to that, you're 50 grand.
exactly.
So what did we talk about? Because, we have to plug the fact that I need to sell houses so we can pay for this wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
What
So
else could you do with $50,000?
what else could I do? I could buy a house. We had so many conversations about like, okay, does it make sense for us to just elope? Does it make sense for us to do a destination wedding? Like we went through all of our options, and ultimately I think we would both regret if we didn't have a proper wedding day.
Yeah.
And honestly, it would just piss people off. Like I am the first grandchild.
Yep.
I am
On both sides.
On both sides. I'm your only daughter. It would step on some toes if I didn't have a proper wedding. And I know it's supposed to be all about me, but ultimately other people's feelings do have to come into the mix. So we did decide that we were going to have a more traditional wedding. What we've done, and I'm so excited about it, and to like plug our venue and everything, we've booked a boutique hotel in Carlton Place where you actually get the entire hotel to yourself, which is perfect. I'm so excited about it. It has 17 rooms, so not everyone will be able to stay there, but there is another hotel not far away that people can stay at for the evening, and especially on New Year's Eve.
Oh, it's
like
so
it's going to be
beautiful.
so much fun. The venue is stunning. Like it's very Victorian is the way I like to describe it. Like it has like gold like roofing. Like it is just absolutely beautiful. My dress is going to look perfect in it. Like aesthetically, they match very
it
well.
is.
And I didn't even know at the time. And Maz is planning on wearing his mess kit. And like, it's just going to look so like regal.
Yeah.
And I am thrilled.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful venue. The owners of the venue are amazing. You went and ate there a couple weeks ago.
We went for Valentine's Day.
You went for Valentine's Day. And how was the food?
It was fantastic. And we spoke to the chef personally who said, really, because I don't even do my best for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I give it all for weddings, but for Valentine's Day, he was doing a buffet trying to please everyone. And so what we loved is going to be even better when we custom pick your menu for your wedding.
Exactly.
Very
so,
excited.
and what's amazing about it as well is it's basically all inclusive. So all of the decor, floral, like everything is already included. So I don't have to go get a florist now on top of this.
I know, it's
like I
great.
basically just have to, we're getting married in the Catholic Church. And so we just have to like book that separately and then show up to our wedding. Like, which is amazing.
Right.
And they have like internal systems for me to do the invites online. Like it's an incredible venue and I am so excited about it.
I'll give him a plug. What is it called?
Oh, didn't I say it already? No,
not
the
sure.
Grand Hotel.
In Carlton Place.
Yes.
Check out their website.
Yes.
It's stunning.
I'm so excited.
And it's not going to break the bank.
No, which is
It's
very nice.
reasonable.
It's very reasonably priced for
you're
modern
getting.
wedding day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Interesting. So we didn't even really get to debating much about wedding mindset and particulars about how things are going to flow. And there are a couple things that I wouldn't mind just exploring a little bit, potentially in a future episode.
Yeah,
because
part 2.
I think there's going to be a part 2 and probably up to 5 on this whole wedding adventures.
Yes.
The Great Smaz Wedding 2025.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a lot we can share. I do really appreciate you sharing your full story, and I know people are going to enjoy it because they adore you. They're interested in what we're up to, and this is obviously a major part of our life. So thank you for sharing today.
Of course, I am more than happy to, and I will come back for a part 2 where we can talk about all the differences between my wedding mindset versus yours.
Great. So I'll just give a little flash forward. I'm not 100% sure I understand the concept of no wedding party.
Yes.
We'll come back to that
Yeah.
one for a future episode.
100%. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you.